Very good morning, welcome dear viewer. This is Westnile Television. My name is Frederick Tramadri. I am the presenter today for the KOKOLIRIKO Show. It is exactly 45 minutes past. Now it is exactly 46 minutes past 7, meaning we are left with just 14 minutes to clock 8 a.m. You're watching Westnile Television right here in Arua City on Weatherhead Park Lane. For those who are watching us from the different parts of the region and those far abroad, you are welcome. My name is Frederick Tramadri once again, and we'll be discussing so many issues that have happened throughout the weekend and those that happened last week. And in this, we'll have a lot to share with you. If you are following us on YouTube, you should be able to pick your phone and able to chat with us in the comment box. And then those who are watching us from Star Times, you should be able to go there and just log into 477, the channel number. And those who are using Zuku, you should be able to follow us on 0073. And then we'll be chatting with you on several issues that happened throughout the week. Not to go further, remember the Premier League was officially opened yesterday. This was after the Community Shield competitions that happened between Arsenal and Manchester City, which ended into penalty shootouts, where Arsenal was able to move with the Shield, and many people said this was a plate, it was not a cup and so on, but that is a cup at the moment. Arsenal, you know, they have been struggling so much looking for this kind of opportunities, but remember yesterday they dominated the game much as the results were not coming in the first half. And away from that, we have other issues that happened throughout the week. Remember the issues to do with developments, the issues to do with distractions elsewhere within the region. We'll be bringing you updates about those. And if you look at Westnile, before we go further, from the headquarters, Arua City, there were so many things that happened, like the issues to do with breastfeeding week, where most of the districts in the region were able to launch this, much as some have not really recognized this week. We all know that breastfeeding week is very, very important to awaken all the stakeholders in their duties to upbring these children in a nutritional manner, where at least children are able to feed from the breast milk that their mothers provide. You know, the nutritious milk that children are able to get is always from the mothers. There's nowhere you can manufacture breast milk apart from these other methods that people now have derived, like the bottle feeding, like even some people now give hard food stuff to their children, which is very wrong. If we look at some of the issues around this, we have seen malnutrition cases increasing each and every day. Some of them are reported, but others are not reported at health facilities. But remember, if you don't take your child to a health facility for these kind of nutritional guidelines, it will be hard for you to know whether your child is doing well or not. Sometimes children begin to maybe remain stunted because of the way we feed them. Sometimes it is just because the way we treat the children. At what time do you give breast milk to your child, even if you have not given any other food? At least in 6 months, we are being guided by health personnel that within the 6 months, you should not give any other food apart from the breast milk. So this is very important for our mothers, for our fathers. Nowadays, we have seen fathers advocating for also a leave, paternal leave. So if this is granted, we want to see that at least fathers are able to also support their wives in breastfeeding. One, you should be able to provide meals timely. Two, you should be able to at least make sure there is balanced diet. Balanced diet doesn't mean you should go to today you buy meat, tomorrow you buy greens and so on. Not like that. At least when in a meal, if you have at least all the components of the food values, I mean the protein, the carbohydrates, the vitamins and so on, these are able to really make the nutritional status of your family members very, very well. You will not really move to the health facilities day and night, maybe in a subsequent manner. At least you have savings in your homes. This is very important. If all of us really team up to work against malnutrition, then we have the vibe to really say we have eradicated poverty, because we'll be able to save money from the hospital bills that we have ever been running to. Remember, also being an attendant, sometimes people say if you are an attendant at the hospital, it is not easy. Sometimes you also have to really feel the pain even more than the person who has been admitted. This is because sometimes you feel lazy, you feel sometimes you are contracting some diseases. This is because we don't care about people who are getting sick. If you really care before this person maybe comes to that situation of admission, then we'll be able to avert some of these sicknesses before they come to those advanced stages. Then away from that slightly, we will talk about several other issues. Remember, the cases of malaria are shooting so high in most of our facilities, much as government recently rolled out they call it into-residual spray. The into-residual spray, which was recently rolled out, many people abandoned other methods of preventing the spread of malaria. This is from the mosquitoes, and sometimes people spend a lot of time doing leisure at night. This is one of the contributors that most of the people are probing the cause of malaria spread in widespread in most of the parts of this region to that. Then remember, there were some districts that did not really get the into-residual spray, including Arua City, which people believe that most of the mosquitoes from the neighboring districts ran to the city, and now they are spreading to those where the into-residual spray was done. But what can we do as locals, as community members, to avert some of these things? One, we have been guided that we should be able to clear our bushes around the homesteads. We should be able to maybe splash the water which is accumulating around the homesteads. Some of these containers that we throw where water accumulates in them, these are the habitats of the mosquitoes where they breed a lot. So we should be able to do some of these things apart from waiting for the health personnel to come and say something, or maybe also the enforcement team coming to your aid, because sometimes nets were distributed some time back. Even up to now, mosquito nets have been distributed in health facilities to mothers who come for antenatal services. So how carefully are we guarding these mosquito nets? I've seen some people using them to protect their seedlings, which is very wrong. I think the local leaders need to swing in action to at least do something about this, because government has injected so much into malaria prevention, but we continue to admire the curative side, which is very wrong. So if we leave all this like that, this will affect us so much. And not only that, we have also realized that the rate of teenage pregnancy is still increasing. This has been really from the onset of COVID-19. It has been witnessed so much, but after some time, when the president allowed all those teenage mothers to go to school, we saw some reduction, maybe because people were educated, maybe people started realizing that this is harmful and so on, and some few prosecutions were done around this. So could we say we have erred somewhere? Is it parenting? Is it that children are not really understanding their parents? Is it because of the advancement in technology? what should we do in the modern era? Parents, what steps can we take in order to make sure we cope up with the current system of parenting? Because there is no way that somebody will convince me that this time you have to go with the traditional methods of parenting, where sometimes people used to sit near the fire. Nowadays the trees are even not there for us to have this fire. So what do we need to do? We need a lot of sensitization. We need a lot of parents need to start also up in their game. If you were a school dropout and you didn't move somewhere, you need guidance from other people who are really doing it better. It's not that in all the communities that everyone is a victim. There are some people who are real spearheading development. Can we learn from them instead of creating hatred about some of these issues? So there's no way government will come and maybe say, so and so your family is not doing well, can we help you here? Some of these things we need to learn by ourselves. Look at what your neighbor is doing. Is it something which is good? Is it something which is spoiling the community? Is it something that is not really bringing development in the society? We should be able to team up and go back and start reflecting on some of these issues if we really need a good developments to come to our areas. Okay, Matthias, a lot has been said about the PDM, the programs that government has been rolling. I've seen people who have forgotten about Imyoga. Imyoga is being wasted in most of the districts. I will say that because people have relaxed on the recovery of funds, which is something very, very wrong. We need to start following up on these groups that received the monies, whether they are doing well or they are doing bad. Commercial officers who have been, especially those who have been the focal point persons, can we move to these groups and visit them to see whether they are doing well or not? Remember, some of these groups have been formed because some of these projects are coming. So how should we improve them? This is one thing. We should not wait for guidelines all the time to say, hey, we want to go and arrest so and so, or we want to go and do sensitization because our fuel is not enough, and so on and so on. Sometimes you are paid for these kind of jobs. These kind of things are there on your appointments. So do you really need facilitation from the center? Do you need somebody to say, can you push and move to enforce or to educate the communities? Because running a cooperative is still something which is not new, but it has been there. But we have seen changes in the laws regarding the cooperative running of cooperatives, because I'm meant to understand that most of these PDM groups received temporary certificates, but now it has taken like 2 years from 2021 when these monies were dispersed to some of these groups, especially in the Westnile region. So can we follow up on these groups? How are they doing? Apart from maybe reporting to us that maybe the produce dealers are doing well, the others are doing well, can we look at some of these issues, whether they are doing well at personal level? How about the beneficiaries? Are they doing well? You may never know. The figures we're talking about that we have recovered, these are monies that are just idle in the banks. Has this have any impact on the people who are supposed to, who are actually beneficiaries to these programs? Because if money is dispersed to people and people continue to keep these monies in banks, there's nothing realized. We shall not achieve the dream of local economic development in this region. But let's take a brief break. We'll be coming back in a short while.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
brand new Global Star TV with StarTime's Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTime's antenna and satellite signal. With StarTime's Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTime's highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTime's Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTime's branches and dealers countrywide. StarTime's Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that small commercial break that we've just taken. I've been joined by one of the journalists that we work with at Westnile Television, that is Farish Majid. He is the best journalist that won the award of last month, being the best journalist award of July, the month of July. So Farish, you're most welcome to Westnile Studios.
Yes, thank you, Frederick, and good morning to you, our viewer. My name is Farish Majid, as earlier on introduced by Frederick Dramadri. It's a pleasure being here, I know. And now a lot of things have been happening out there. First of all, I would like to first begin by extending my condolences to Stanley Watum.
Yes.
He is one of our journalists based in Libya, I think. He did lose
Pakwach,
yes. Pakwach, he lost the mother in a tragic accident that happened on Saturday. We at Westnile Television are praying for you to get healed through the process. You know, it's not an easy thing, losing your mother at a time when you are still a young journalist trying to rise up. It's not an easy thing. First of all, I also want to...
Yes. I think we will be, as a team, be joining him in Pakwach to really mourn with him. We don't want to leave him out. Much as these are things that we will all go through, but we really didn't expect this at this critical time, looking at the circumstances as journalists who work under. This is not easy, but we pray that the soul rests in eternal peace. Before we go further, Faris, you won the best journalist award for July in Westnile Television in the newsroom. How do you feel about this?
Yes, of course it comes with a lot of excitement. It means that your hard work is being recognized. You know, awards mean a lot. If you get rewarded, it means your efforts are being recognized. It means that your efforts are not going unnoticed. To me, that made me feel excited. It comes with a lot of excitement, as I said. And to me, it also means a lot, because once you're promoted, it also comes with a lot of responsibility. It challenges you to keep on working hard. To me, it means I will have to work harder.
True.
It will
maybe what are some of the things that made you maybe excel like that? Can you highlight?
First of all, commitment. what you do.
True.
It is very key. If you love what you do, just like what I love what I do, and I know it means a lot for me to always come to the station, go out to the field, interact with colleagues. And secondly, it is teamwork, because all of you played a great role in that.
Okay.
You know, you cannot work alone. You need to work as a team. But away from that, I want to tell you, last week a lot of things happened. And last week also did witness a number of road accidents. This is countrywide. We also did have the boat capsizing on Lake Victoria. Still, the families are not
right. Those, yes. I think
with those families.
Yes. These issues of accidents have been really so much seen on roads and also in maybe on the water bodies. Sometimes the boats people use, the ship that people use, there have been a lot of accidents. Apart from this that happened in Uganda, there were also those that happened across the seas, where migrants were even found themselves in the waters because the boat had some issues with also the wind that was blowing. So these are things that we need really to guard ourselves. Maybe when you are moving on water, you should be able to have the protective gears. Can we follow some of these rules? Many times the marine people have said all about this, but people really sometimes leave those guidelines behind, but they continue hurriedly. On the roads, we have the poor road network that has contributed a lot into some of these accidents, but I've seen government striving so hard to ensure that these roads are rehabilitated. But what nags me a lot is sometimes the type of contractors that we have to really undertake these works. Do they really do the right work? When I was coming from Navy the other time on Wednesday, I saw the contractor really pouring soil on a tarmacked road. I was asking myself whether really this was accepted. Maybe Faris, you have also moved into these roads.
Yeah, Frederick,
what can you localize from
when
this?
When it comes to the road sector, there's a lot that always needs to be focused on. First of all, the contract that is being awarded, do these people meet the requirements? Do they have the experience? That is what I make of the road accidents. Because some of the roads, I'll side with you, some of the roads are not up to the quality that we expect them to be. You know, so these roads, sometimes they are not okay. Because if you were to look at the Massacre Road, one complaint that has always been there is that the quality has not been good. That is why accidents are always being witnessed frequently on that road there. Okay. And when it comes to our roads here also, you will know that these roads are not up to the standards we expect them to be. Because just like after 3 to 5 years, you see the road is already getting potholes, it's getting worn out. So what kind of roads are we putting out there? I'm putting this question to the contractors. When you are doing your work with the engineers, what are you doing? Do you just think of getting the money, or you mind of the kind of work you're going to do? Because at the end of the day, we are all going to be moving on the same roads here. If it is an accident, it will not spare you as a contractor, it will not spare you as an engineer. If the accident comes, it will be you to go, it will be your families. So I want to appeal to the contractors and engineers out there. If they are doing their work, let them be mindful of what may come in the work they are doing. Okay, if we talk about procurements, let's not really focus much on the aspect of money. How much am I packing? How much am I spending on this contract? These are some of the things that really bring a lot of concerns in the eyes of the public. Because if you are given a contract, we believe that when you won the contract, you knew that you were going to execute it. In other words, it was on merit. It was on merit. That's what we believe. You should not be really forced to do things in the way really people really deserve it, because you applied for it. You said you were going to execute this contract in the best way possible. Amidst all the changes in prices, maybe we understand some of these things come, but can we really do the rightful work and say, maybe because the coatings that I had in my BOQ really didn't work because of the change in prices, this is what I've done, but the quality remains, then government will be able to understand that maybe we need to put inject more money into this. And this brings me to the issue that happened last weekend, where the 3-point-something billion value addition factory, which is one of the components of Arua's
Arua main market, which was constructed from the year 2018 to 2020, and this was commissioned by the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who on 25th of October 2020, when this was commissioned, we expected the city to take over with the issues to do with the bringing contractors to manage this value addition facility, issues of mobilizing communities to start bringing their cereals to add value into, also the components of making flour from some of these things, because this value addition facility was there to make sure that what is brought on market is really added value to. And this was meant to ensure that people really tap a lot of monies from the things that they produce, apart from selling them as raw. So over the weekend, we saw the city, actually Arua Central Division Member of Parliament and the Speaker, including the entire Council of Central Division, plus the Town Clerk, moving to evict a contractor who was contracted from the Ministry of Local Government. And in the letter that we saw from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government, signed by Ben Kumana, the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry, it really clearly saw that this contractor was procured from the center. Let's have a brief review of what really happened on Sunday yesterday.
As leaders, we are locking this place until we get guidelines
for operationalizing this place, and the place is handed over to the city leadership, and it will be the city leadership to get a contractor. So from now onwards,
the place is locked.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Mbekizi, I'm the administrator for the private operator which is taking over this facility. There is no process that we overlooked. The whole process was made, it was advertised, and we are private contractors. And employing people here locally, it will be done. They are requesting even 70 people. We can even employ 90 people so long as the people are able to operate. And even if I'm just away as the private operator, anyone who will come here will not be councillors, will not be the MP to operate. This must be private operation. It's not a government facility that it's hospital for public. Anyone who will come here will come to make money and operate. Whether the raw material is there in Arua and the employees are there, that is all. And the facility has been locked for 2 years. So when the private operator comes here and we chase him away, do they want it to be locked forever? Let them be reasonable. I'm going out as a private operator. Anyway, I'm going tomorrow. The paperwork will be produced and every evidence will be put on table. I might come back, I might not come back. But what we need as Arua or as Uganda, the facility must be operational. Whether I'm a white man, whether I'm a black man, whether I'm a Uganda, that one does not mean that the facility should be operated by Arua person. Anyway, you have the manpower here, you have the councillors. I wish you well. Let me see how it will progress.
All right, you have just seen what happened yesterday in the evening when the Central Division leadership, the political leadership, including the city town clerk, and many other stakeholders, really evicting the contractor that was sent from the center by Ministry of Local Government to come and really manage this value addition facility. So we have seen around the country, across the country, where a lot of issues to do with procurements have been in that kind of mess. So what do you make of this? Maybe Faris, we will start from there. What do you make of this kind of procurements that are termed to be hybrid from the center?
Yeah, thank you, Frederick. You know, the issue of the procurement is very broad when it comes to, in most cases, people tend to have doubt in the procurement processes now. Because you get a scenario where people always raise complaints. You know, when there's something that is being announced out there, like recently, I will not lament where it is now, where the public is complaining, the lowest bidder emerged the winner of the contract. So that shows there's no transparency in the processes of awarding the contracts. So, but away from that, what is this facility meant to do? What are the roles this facility is supposed to play? First of all, it's supposed to act as a store to store the produce that is there. Secondly, it is supposed to play a role in distributing these things here. Third, it's supposed to generate market. But you know, once facilities that government has invested a lot of money are being put to waste like this, it really bothers me a lot, because there's a lot of money that was dumped, the taxpayers' money that was put in this facility. You wonder how much billions that was poured there. But now, if the facility is to remain like that, it makes me ask questions. First of all, I would like to understand why the facility was closed. What reasons, what motives forced the closure of the facility?
All right, okay, if we look at some of the reasons that the leaders were able to advance, they talked about the issues of not involving the city in some of these procurements that were done. Because if you are really doing, maybe sourcing out contractors to come and undertake maybe some of these managements in the city, you should have really made the city know that we are now looking for contractors for this. Do you have any say about it? Is it ready? Those are the things some of the leaders were really talking about.
Yes.
Now, if you move to where this facility is, now it is 3 years down the road when this thing was commissioned, we expected it to take off. First of all, people are supposed to bring cereals, people are supposed to bring their raw materials to be added value to.
Yes.
So if this has not worked and the market is operating, what are the things that people are delivering in the market? These are not, are these things that are being added value to? Are we really keeping our money within the region? These are some of the issues that are coming around. Maybe Faris, if you want to add something.
Just to add on what you're saying, this facility, first of all, is meant to create employment opportunities for many people out there. You wonder how many people would be employed in this facility if it was put into proper use. You get many people would be employing both the skilled and unskilled in this facility here. Because this facility is not only meant to store, it would be there to look to also observe some of the produce that is being kept there. Then here we would be bringing people who are skilled. Where would we be bringing the unskilled here? The loaders, the transporters, the drivers would be all working here. But now, if this facility is meant to be closed like that, then it really worries me a lot. First, because since 2018, what has this facility been doing? Has it done its purpose of what it was created for? Has it played its part? That is where the issue really goes out of hand, and I call upon all the leaders to see that this facility is opened and the public is sensitized about it, and so that people get to know of what benefit this facility is to them.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe if the producer can project for us the letter from Ministry of Local Government signed by the Permanent Secretary, so that people really understand that we are really talking within the things that we really know. And if you really, as he does that, if you look at the value addition facility, this was not really meant for only the people in Arua City, because most of the farmers that this value addition facility was targeting the rural farmers in some of the districts across the region, where we really expected bumper harvests, where especially these districts that do a lot in farming. So that is the letter, much as it may not appear well, but that is it. It is signed by the Permanent Secretary. It was written to also the Town Clerk, Arua Central Division, but people say they have not really gotten the content. They have not understand what has gone throughout this procurement process. So if you look at the content, it is reading that appointment actually it is from Ministry of Local Government, written on the 3rd of August 2023. This letter was directed to the town clerk of Central Division and other stakeholders. And then the content reads, appointment as member of the contract management team for Arua high-level value addition facility in Arua City. And this is under the Markets and Agricultural Trade Improvement Program, the MATIP Project 2, which came with the Arua main market. Okay, some of the details are there. If you are watching us, you'll be able to get them from there. So maybe slightly away from this, if we look at some of the issues around procurements, we show the PPDA appeals tribunal quashed the procurement of a contractor in Arua City recently to manage the taxi park. What do you make of this?
So still issues related to procurement and contracts. We had issues last week.
Yes.
A group of youths, I think you must have heard, that protested against the resident city commissioner to step aside. Because once this group were led by the speaker and the deputy speaker for Central Division, that is Victor Lomori, and his boss, we are the mayor's garden petitioning against the resident city commission, whom they accuse of a number of allegations. First of all, they accuse of failing to work with their bosses. Secondly, they were complaining of the unfair resource allocation, but I don't know how the RCC comes into that. They were also complaining of they were also complaining of how promoting corruption, where they gave a scenario of at the market where a lady whose name I've kind of forgotten was operating there. Second, and they were also accusing us still of working with a clique of goons in the market who are still at the taxi park, who pick money from the vendors there. So all those allegations were levied against her. It was on Friday this week, but the letter was on Thursday. They addressed the letter to the permanent, I think, to the Minister of Presidency, Mili Babalanga.
Okay, so remember, Arua City Resident City Commissioner has been in the forefront of investigating issues around corruption in the allocation of the market. This was after several vendors petitioned her office about the allocations in the market. That has up to date been investigated by also State House, which took off from her investigations. The report, she said she submitted to the president, but I think people were not satisfied of the outcome. And the president recently, when he was touring the region, he directed that in Arua City that these investigations be done afresh. So we are yet to receive the feedback from the investigations team. We don't know whether they have completed or not. It has not yet come out. But we have seen a lot of the issues around this. And we saw also RCC commenting that she's not part of the people who are said to be conniving with those allocating those lockups. Maybe if you really did that story yourself, if you really understood something from this.
She actually came out and denied all the allegations levied against her. Because first of all, she said she does not condone corruption. She denied all the allegations, and she said, this is from her. She said it is the move has been there by some politicians. Some politicians who are behind her just because they want her to dance to their tunes, but which she has failed to accept. So I think that is where the issue comes in. But still, it goes back. How is the relationship between the technocrats and politicians? Because we expect these people to work harmoniously. We expect them to be working together. This goes back to that. Do they have powers? Do they have limits to where their powers stop? All these would operate together. Because when you look at the RCCs and the MPs, you find sometimes them doing the same roles. Actually, one issue that was put against her was failure to work with their deputies. That is one accusation, which I felt I picked into.
Self-centered leadership.
Yes, self-centered leadership.
Yes, that's
they accused of working with her deputies and those people around her and other security agencies. So that goes back because RCC is the president of the district. RCCs of the district, we take them to be the head of security.
The president of the Republic of the country.
So, with the powers vested onto the president, you know what it means. Does it mean that RCCs also have to have all those powers.
But I
They
think
have all those powers, yes.
around all this, but I think there's need for really the appointing authority to clearly spell out the roles played by these RCCs, the RDCs, and so on, so that the public understands them. We have seen the Central Division Council, especially the speakers, really taking a lot of these kind of things, these kind of moves, protests, leading, spearheading protests, spearheading evictions, spearheading all this. Maybe, what do you understand from this? Does it mean there are no other people who can really trace some of these things? Why is it that the speakers are always involved in some of these moves?
You know,
is it a political agenda? Is it something within the reach of theirs? Yes.
First of all, we need to understand how our politics is running in the country today, whereby politicians want to now, I'm not demeaning them, yes, where politicians now want to be recognized by force. This goes back still to them. We know them, we have seen them operate doing this.
Anyway, did they use some evidences in relation to maybe the connivance between the RCC's office and the people in the market? Apart from the letter
in the letter of complaint that was circulated, we didn't see them having any evidence. But the allegations, maybe we cannot deny them. Because for somebody to come up with that, we do not know. We now wait for the final outcome of the results, because currently I believe investigations are going on. We cannot underscore them. So we cannot underscore all those allegations levied against us at the moment, as we await for the final result, maybe from the people doing the investigations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, maybe lastly, within the region, there were issues to do with the issue of teenage pregnancies that I hinted on earlier on. There's some lady, I may not say a lady, but a teenager of around 17 years now. She delivered twins. This girl from one of the districts within the region, especially, let me be specific, from Mariokolo district, among the fishing communities. After delivering, the husband took off, went to Amur district. Now, after this guy running away, the lady, unfortunately, were not understanding themselves with the mother, and then she decided to come to Arua district in Bondo, and this did not even yield any fruit. The aunt said, "Go back to your husband." This lady was found around Dubai Ochoko, and was taken back to Mariokolo. When she was taken back, the family could not accept this lady. So what do you make of this? Maybe if you are on the chat box, we expect you to really keep on sending for us some of these comments on some of the issues that we're discussing here on YouTube. You can go to KOKOLIRIKO Live, 7th of August 2023. You will be able to catch us live. We'll be reading some of those comments that you'll be putting on. So maybe Faris, let me come back to you. Looking at that story, it was really painful that this girl has 2 children. These babies are still 8 months as of now. I believe she conceived when she was around 16 years. Yes. So what do you make of this? Because
first of all,
the one who impregnated her decided to run away.
We need to first understand how old the one who impregnated her is. Because you know, the most emphasis has been put on ladies alone, leaving alone the guys. Because you may find that this teenager was also impregnated by a fellow teenager. We have had those scenarios where the boy child is left out. We need to also teach the boy child out on some of the means that they can be using to avoid these unwanted pregnancies. So this issue of teenage pregnancy has always been there. We have seen it ever since COVID. It rising up from the time of COVID. We have seen it going up. The trend keeps on going up every day. So that still draws back to my attention that, are we not doing enough? Is the sensitization still lacking? That is the question, because we have had a lot of campaigns against teenage pregnancy on radio, on TVs. We have read about them on papers. Still, that goes back to families. You know, the kind of families we have nowadays, we do not have enough time with our families. Most families still lack time with their families concerning reproductive knowledge. You know, those days, parents will sit down with the children, discuss with them about issues of reproductive health. But nowadays, this is lacking. Most parents fear to open up to their children, and with the modernity that has come up, somebody sees something, you know, pornography, it has played a key role in this. Children nowadays have smartphones where they can see, they also feel like practicing. At the end of the day, they conceive when not even having knowledge of what to take care of the children. But still, going back to this lady here, you know, having twins is not easy, because we have seen families suffering with one child. Now coming with two, the family is sending you away, there's lack of support, your husband has run away. It really becomes difficult at the end of the day, you see.
That is it. So you know at that tender age, this lady cannot even afford to buy a shop to bathe herself. So these are some of the issues we really need a lot to do with protecting our teenagers. If we need to really avoid some of this, if you cannot have time for your family, embrace education, embrace educating your children. Let's afford that kind of education where children are able to move to schools and stay most of their times in school. Yes, at least in schools, we have that limited time for these children to go for sexual intercourse, where they are able to learn from their colleagues and so on. If we leave them out, we have these kind of music that is played in the villages, that is called, is it local derby? Some of these happen in places where children are going. Yes, maybe your final words as we go for a break.
Still on this topic, you know, the education system, you talked about school. The curriculum also needs to embrace, we need to have that addition of sexual or reproductive knowledge. Because by this, the children will get to know maybe some of the things that they will be using. If they are teaching these things in school, let me take from upper primary to secondary, let them have knowledge that is being empowered on the children, so that they get to know what some of the things that they will be doing to avoid pregnancy. First, we need to put them in the curriculum, which to me is still lacking, because you have been to school, you know what they always talk about. When it comes to reproductive knowledge, where it stops. You know where it stops, and usually it does not go broad. So in my own view, if the curriculum was supposed to have that addition of reproductive health knowledge, by that we would be able to avoid maybe some of the unwanted pregnancies.
Okay, yeah, let's take a small break and we'll be answering back the political side. We'll have a civil society representative coming to digest some of the issues around the electoral reforms, and then the issues to do with the roadmap that has been released by the Electoral Commission to run the elections that are forthcoming in this country. My name is Frederick Ramadri. Let's take a brief break and then we'll be coming in shortly.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
A brand new Global Star TV with StarTimes Inside Technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTimes antenna and satellite signal. With StarTimes Inside Global Star TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update, more benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Inside Global Star TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We have just been joined by the Civil Society Network, the Westnile Regional Civil Society Network, the Executive Director, who is here with me. We are going to digest on several issues around elections, several issues to do with the preparations to the forthcoming general elections, that is 2026, which is coming very soon. So maybe let me ask my vista in. Maybe Tribe Fen, you are most welcome to Westnile Television Studios.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, that is his voice, and you have seen him. He's here, and he has been somebody in the civil society leading it for quite a while. And he has a lot to do with civic space. He has a lot to do with electoral reforms, and this has been the organization spearheading the activities, the changes that people need to undertake from the coming elections. And there were views that people shared about the past election, and that they really needed recommendations, that they fronted some recommendations through this civil society that they needed from Westnile perspective at the national headquarters, that they should be amended apart from some of the issues that came in the recent elections. Maybe Twaib, you have been in the lead for these conversations throughout the districts in the region. What were the issues that really people fronted to you to be presented at the national headquarters?
Thank you very much. It's true, we have been moving around the region to make sure that we garner the views of people, that is the community members, the voters, the leaders. I think we are still moving on, and some of the issues we got are not actually new. Those are issues that have been there. For example, issues to do around qualification of members. There are people who think members of parliament qualification needs to be much higher than it is now, because as of now we have a senior 6 as a qualification, even the president as senior 6, because they say a president should be someone who qualifies to be a member of parliament, and that means it should be around senior 6. We have issues to do around term limits. People think term limits needs to be reinstated. There are people who think also there needs to be qualification for councillors and the LC3 chairpersons. You know, as of now we have, there is no qualification, academic qualification for LC3 chairpersons. And
maybe how does this affect service delivery if we look at that perspective of monitoring projects, perspective of procurements, tenders and so on? How does this, not having a qualification for the lower local governments, especially the LC3s, affect service delivery?
It does. Any other person who is not, you know, you are going to scrutinize documents, and you're going to pass documents that are going to support the administration of that entity that you are going to lead. For example, most of the parish sub-county chiefs have masters. Most of parish sub-county chiefs are well qualified, very technical people. For you to do monitoring, to understand what they're doing, you need to have some bit of knowledge. And if you look at the legislative role of councillors at district level, these are people, first and foremost, the people who are in charge of passing your budget. They scrutinize your budget and pass them. There are people who are going to come up with your ordinances at the district level. There are people who are going to do oversight role at district level. So by all means, they need to understand what they are doing. Okay. And besides, I think one of the argument was that then there were so many people who qualified to be in these positions. Maybe if you put academic qualification of A level or diploma or certificate and so forth. But as of now, I think it stands. We have those qualifications at all levels. Now that is why people are saying that we need to move this qualification from just being a registered citizen and a resident to at least attach academic qualification for local governments. Okay, maybe our time is running up. I want us to really digest on some of these issues. There were issues to do with the delivery of election results. Maybe what did the people say you should be able to represent in the 4 headquarters? Because when we were introduced to the electronic vote, maybe voter registration, the transmission of results,
You remember the issues to do with the networks not being there, social networks were blocked. At the time of voting, what has been maybe the focus of the people in relation to some of these issues, and how do you think this, if addressed, will help the citizens maybe trust the democracy in this country?
First and foremost, I'm just going to relate to you the views of people. First and foremost, people thought that the days that were given to release the elections, as it's 72 hours, is not enough. So they needed more days so that a lot of work is done. Two, people also think that when we want to get our chairperson of electoral commission, or the electoral commission, the commission itself, constituting the commission, that needs to be done, there needs to be another body that is assigned to do it. It needs to be done openly with the participation of the public.
Maybe what was the suggestion? Which body were they suggesting to really maybe scrutinize some of these people who are contesting, or maybe to be appointed as the electoral commission body?
So what they said is, first and foremost, there needs to be a body that needs to be constituted, maybe bringing on board maybe bringing on board political parties of different, bringing members from different political parties, civil society, civil society cuts across, maybe bringing some religious leaders on board. The same way it is done in few other countries that are there. So that with the person who is going to be got will be vetted thoroughly by the public, and that will have a confidence of the public will have confidence in such a process. So that's what people are suggesting, and these are things that we intend to also forward. As a matter of fact, from here we're going to meet councillors at district levels, and we intend to meet members of parliament through their caucus, Westnile Parliamentary Caucus, which I think in the next 1 or 2 months would have been sorted with all those who would have done them. Okay. So those are the views of people. But also away from that, there are also people who think that the election results need to be declared at every district. For example, other than transmitting results straight to Kampala, they want all the results declared at the district. Every district needs to declare its result. For example, every district will say, just let me give an example, that candidate A, President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, has scored this in Arua. Candidate B, maybe Dr. Kizza Besigye, has scored this in Arua, or Arua City. So those should be declared in every district, so that at national level, there is a compilation of all this, just which will be done. Okay. Other than it being transmitted, all that's being transmitted to Kampala and declared from Kampala.
Maybe how has this affected the trust in the electoral process? Maybe these results that are transmitted, you may not know which candidate won from which district, and so on and so on. So in terms of also the time limit, okay, the time frame for declaring these results, what were the amendments that people needed in this also?
So what really it does is, you know, we're giving the views of people. So I think people are giving their experience, and perhaps maybe in their understanding that if you transmit results direct to Kampala, maybe due to few factors here and there, it will not be the way they expected. That's why they are suggesting that they need to be declared at district level. So if that is done, little what it will mean is that we may need more time to do compilation. Now, that is the view, those are the views of people. I think, which for us, we cannot edit, we will just present them as they are, but it will be upon the people who are supposed to make these reforms to either take them or leave them. Okay. But ours is to make sure that these views are collected and then they are taken. The other issue is, you know, many times people don't want to go and vote. Perhaps if these issues are addressed, it will kill voter apathy, and then it will also maybe give morale for people to go and vote. So that's why we think it is important that we need to keep engaging, and we collect these views and take them to the relevant authorities that are supposed to do it. So for us, we are just a platform organization. For us, we are like a middlemen or middle women who get information from one side and then take to the other, or who get goods from one side and take to the other. So that's exactly what we are going to do. Yeah.
Okay, we saw recently the Electoral Commission released a 2 months electoral roadmap, which they also released a budget draft of around 1.3 trillion. This is able, if really financed, is going to be the money that will be spent on running some of the activities around the elections in 2026. Maybe what do you make of this? Do you think this money is really available, that the Electoral Commission will be able to get it shortly? Because we saw a lot of vacancies, a lot of by-elections have not been conducted across the country.
What is true is that this money is the money that is projected to be used from now up to 2026. So then what that means is every financial year there has to be a breakdown to make sure that this gap is covered. Now that money, to me, it is going to be used for doing a lot of things. First and foremost, electoral process. Election itself is a process. So as we undertake this process, there are many things that we need to do. First and foremost, we will need to register new voters. We will need to do electoral boundary demarcations. You know, as we proceed to 2026, there need to be new electoral areas that needs to be created, or boundaries that needs to be demarcated. That is the mandate of Electoral Commission. We have the issues of logistics. We have the issues of printing ballot papers. We have the issues of voter verification, of so many things. These are things that need even recruitments to carry out this manpower and so forth. So these are things that are going to be done over time. So what the Electoral Commission has just done is to project that from here to there we are going to need this much. Now, what is also true is that this money is going to be splitted in all these financial years. For example, this financial year, I know they have little. They have some money, and then next financial year, they will need to put another on the budget. The other financial year, the bulk of which may come around when we will be approaching the real, around 2025 there. So I think that is why now they will need more, because there will be a lot of things that they need to do, procurement of equipment, procurement of what, recruiting more personnel, even up to parish level or village level, to do some of this work. So I think that money is a projected money that is going to be used over time till 2026.
Okay, maybe I'll pose this question back to you again for maybe I don't know how many times I've posed this to you. I want to really understand, is there really need for electoral reforms in this country, in your own perspective?
The truth of the matter is, as we keep moving on, things keep evolving, many things keep changing. For example, the technology we're using now may not be the technology that was used, we're going to use in this coming election may not be the same technology that we used last year. So things keep changing, and also the situations keep changing, a lot of things keep changing. So as things keep changing, there needs to be a reform. So that we incorporate whatever was not there in the system, so that these things are done in a very organized manner.
Okay.
But also whether we need electoral reforms or not depends on what people feel. These things are not casted on stone. So where people feel there are gaps that needs to be closed, so that's where it will warrant for electoral reforms. Where people even feel there are things that are obsolete, maybe that are no longer important, that are no longer needed, they need electoral reforms. For example, people will say tomorrow, we no longer need to have people lining up. You get that? We no longer need to have ABCD and so forth. That will also call for reforms. Okay. So people, for example, say there are things that needs to be introduced. We need more of this, more of that. So that will call for reforms. Okay. So I think it will be dependent on what is current and what is useful and what needs to be added or what needs to be maybe dealt with, that needs to be removed, because the society keeps changing. These electoral processes are done by human beings, and the human beings who are participating in them. So I think it will keep changing. Okay. Depends on the situation on the ground.
All right. We have seen the country undergoing several elections, and most of the results have been petitioned. What do you learn from this? Should we continue seeing these people running to petition results, much as the electoral reforms were there to cater for some of these gaps to be addressed?
What is true is that there is a way of having laws. We may have laws in place, but also the practice itself is another thing. For example, if the laws are in place and certain individuals keep not following those laws, maybe they flaw them because of their own reasons and so forth, that will warrant people to go to court. Two, if there was, in the due course, they may also discover that some of these things were happening because certain gaps were not totally closed. That will also warrant for now electoral reforms. For example, the issue of, there was a case between Amama Babazi versus Yori Kaguta Museveni and Attorney General. That was a case where there were reforms which were actually, the ruling were that there were certain reforms that needed to be done. So I think that manifested because that issue went to court and those loopholes were identified. Okay. So it could also be that the laws we have may not be sufficient to seal out some of these gaps. Now that's why we say electoral reforms becomes now necessary. So as I did say, it will depend on the circumstance and the situation we are in. Where it warrants, and then we'll do. Where it doesn't, we will leave. Okay. But where it also means others needs to be dealt with, and that will be the case. Okay. So those are things that will definitely happen. And then as we move, as the society keeps evolving, as our democracy keeps maturing, we will need more of these things coming on board.
All right. The viewers, we are still on Westnile Television here in Arua City. Want to inform you that there are a lot of things that we will really need to discuss, but because of time factors, we will not go further. Maybe I will ask Fen, your last words, and then we will maybe wind it up.
So my last word is that I want to encourage citizens to take part in the democratic processes, how they are governed. First and foremost, now that the electoral roadmap has been released, you need to do all it takes to make sure that you participate either as a voter or someone who is voted. It means you should either offer yourself as a candidate or you go and vote. That's your mandate, and that's something you need to do. If you don't do it, someone will do it on your behalf. Now, once someone does it on your behalf, you have no right to complain because you had already surrendered your right to either vote or being voted to another person. So definitely, whether you go and vote or not, someone will make a decision on your behalf. But what you do is you need to take part so that you are part of the process to make sure that your country develops and make sure that there is good governance, to make sure that you are one of the persons who put good leaders to make decisions on your behalf. Thank you very much. All
right, the viewer, we appreciate you for having taken your time to also watch us and maybe participate in one way or the other by maybe following this from the discussions that we started from around 7 a.m. up to this time. We are up next bringing for you the news in Liberty, which will be brought by their only pastor. He will be coming here and shortly after this, and then we'll be bringing more other programs after this. My name is Frederick Chamadri. We will meet again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.